know you're probably thinking, oh, this is going to be a video basically just insulting the player base of Battlefield, calling them terrible and bad and, you know, garbage and all that stuff. No. We're going to dive much deeper into the actual reasoning, at least in my opinion, as to why the Battlefield 2042 player base seems to be the least effective Battlefield player base of all time. And as we all know, I, for one, would certainly never insult my teammates during a game of Battlefield. I swear to God, if we lose this point and I have 150 kills, dude, this team is fucking worthless. Dude, what do you want me to do? Did I get... I want to say you probably got 70 kills in this... yeah, so... this team can PayPal me for the undeserved victory that they just got, honestly. But recently, I have not been the only one that have been complaining about teammates. I've seen a ton of posts, actually throughout the entire life cycle of Battlefield 2042, on the official Reddits, on the Discords, and Twitter, and all sorts of other platforms, complaining that their teammates are, well, as this post says, brain dead, and they don't PTFO, they don't shoot anyone, they don't do anything, and they're essentially just unbelievably ineffective. I believe there are some easily explained reasons for this, and that's what we're going to be diving into in this video. So strap in, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's figure it out, okay? Because I'm tired of it! So why is it that so many people seem to think that Battlefield 2042's player base is so much worse than the other player bases? It's not very complex, in my opinion. There are two very obvious things that amplify the difficulty for the average player in Battlefield 2042. And those two things, in my estimation, are the map design and the gunplay. Those two things combined really amplify the things that are always difficult about Battlefield, but this time to 5 or 10-fold on some maps. The first thing I want to talk about is the maps and the angles and all that sort of stuff, and then I'll sort of segue that into the gunplay. So, why do I think the maps amplify the things that are already difficult about Battlefield in Battlefield 2042? Well, to put it lightly, the maps in this game are obviously quite terrible. I think that's pretty well agreed upon. But when you have maps, like specifically in 2042, with thousands upon thousands of extra angles people have to worry about because of the design, whether the design of the map be too flat or have too much verticality, and or in some cases both at the same time, like on Manifest, you introduce millions of angles that people simply cannot possibly process and consider that they can get shot from. And let's segue this into the gunplay. So all of those extra angles on maps that people don't know how to navigate, you can now die from those extra angles because the gunplay in Battlefield 2042 allows you to kill people from great distances. Now, this is not exclusive to Battlefield 2042. You could still kill people from very far away in previous Battlefield games, even with full auto weapons, if you were good enough and you caught someone off guard. But the fact of the matter is, Galmud Railway was pretty open in Battlefield 4, but most of the time, you wouldn't die from someone that had a full auto weapon. You would die from someone that maybe had a DMR or a sniper, and even then, the snipers and the weaponry in Battlefield 4 were significantly more difficult to utilize. Basically, what happened in Battlefield 4 was, yeah, you could spot someone from a great distance away, but you wouldn't ever in your right mind try to kill them unless you had the right weaponry to do so. In Battlefield 2042, that is not the case. In Battlefield 2042, if I see someone at 100 meters, I am always going to shoot at them because I have decent confidence that I can kill them with basically any gun in the game. And that is even after the gunplay changes. Whereas in Battlefield 4, with the bullet velocity in that game being much slower, the gunplay overall being much more difficult to deal with due to that slower bullet velocity and increased spread, you really had to be incredibly accurate and lucky to kill someone at significant range with an AR. But what is the true underlying reason as to why Battlefield 2042 seems to be so much more difficult for the average player? Well, like I said, Battlefield 2042 takes the things that are difficult about Battlefield and amplifies them because of the things that I just mentioned. You can die from anywhere, and the maps are terrible. So in turn, Battlefield 2042 requires an abnormally high amount of awareness, even from the average player, just so you can move around the map effectively. And as you can probably imagine, for a lot of people, I would be willing to bet that being aware in a map as straightforward as Operation Metro is already difficult with all the chaos going on. Now try being aware moving around Manifest Conquest with the, and I'm not exaggerating here, 15 separate levels of verticality you can potentially get shot from. And even worse yet, let's go on Breakthrough, where every single person is sort of squished together in a linear format, and that amplifies it yet again, because in Conquest, at least the player population density, if you will, across the map is much lower than in Breakthrough, where you could potentially have 30 people, you know, in a small area with a bunch of different levels of verticality and a bunch of different angles, and it's generally just a complete nightmare. So that takes us to one of the most popular complaints about Battlefield 2042 players, which is that they don't seem to move. They just sit in the back of the map and they snipe. And yes, that is the natural reaction I see from a lot of players, because they are literally afraid of moving up, or they don't know how to approach the situation. So what do? They give up and they switch to sniper and are completely content shooting from their spawn at people that are, I guess, on these areas of height or just areas in general. And another very common reaction I see is the average player in Battlefield 2042 gets more overwhelmed with everything that's going on around them than perhaps previous Battlefield games. Now, obviously, Battlefield's player base isn't, they aren't exactly Counter-Strike professionals in previous Battlefield games. People always complain that, oh, I don't get healed, or I never get ammo, or I never get revived, and all of that still happens in previous Battlefield games, but it seems to happen more often, at least, in Battlefield 2042, because, once again, I think the average player can get overwhelmed and simply stumble and fumble over their decision making, which leads them to instantly dying. Now, all of the stuff that I mentioned in this video is easily avoidable. You can still learn how to improve at the game, but I think in Battlefield 2042, some of the players that are potentially overwhelmed, or they don't understand how to move around the map, I think they have more of an excuse in Battlefield 2042 than they did in previous Battlefield games. Because yes, camping snipers happen in every Battlefield, useless medics happen in every single Battlefield, but I simply don't think you can tell me that, let's say, Manifest is more of a readable map and easier to understand for the average player than Amiens was in Battlefield 1. In fact, I think having Amiens in the same sentence as Manifest is probably an insult to Amiens. So, to wrap this video up, I think Battlefield 2042 takes things that were difficult in previous Battlefield games for a lot of people already, amplifies them due to mistakes in game development, and results in the player base being extremely uncertain of what to actually do in the game. They constantly get caught off guard, they constantly feel as though they can't get a decent footing, or they don't know where to go, or they don't know where they're getting shot from, and again, they end up essentially leaving the game or becoming a sniper. So that's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This is probably going to be a controversial video, so I would love to hear from you in the comment section. What is your experience with this particular topic, and do you think I am correct on this topic? And I would love to hear your reasons for why you think the Battlefield 2042 player base is, I'd say, widely regarded as probably one of the worst Battlefield player bases, if not the worst Battlefield player bases to ever play Battlefield. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.